welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be a very educational video, Makeup 101, how to do your makeup from the start, why primer is important, my favorite primers all the way through every step, and I also show you guys what my favorite makeup product is, drugstore and then high-end in every category. So I did get a few requests on how to do your makeup pretty much. I know a lot of people, including myself, only do like really get ready with me's now just because I don't know, they're just really fun to film and I really enjoy watching them, but I know it's really refreshing just to take it back to the basics and teach you guys how to do makeup. This video was really made for beginners. If you've never worn makeup or you're just getting into makeup and you want to know how to do it, I hope this video helps you. So yeah, I think that's really all I have to say. I hope you guys enjoy the video. Please make sure to like this video, subscribe down below if you haven't already, and let's hop right into it. Alrighty, let's get this video started. So fun fact, I have to give this video a little bit of context. I was actually sitting down, I just got home from work, I was making some tea, I'm going to edit this video, I was going to edit a video, and it was actually this video that I'm filming, and I sat down and I was like, oh, I do not like this. So we are refilming, I washed my face, I'm like, okay, I want content this week, so we were sitting down and we are refilming this. It's like 10 o'clock at night, so it's funny when I film videos during the day, I'm like, I spend forever like perfecting my hair, getting my outfit super cute, and now I'm like, okay, whatever, hair up. I have this little headband on. I was gonna say cute headband on. It's so cute in person, but I can't tell like if it's coming off cute on camera or not, or if I just look like my head's like 10 feet tall, but I don't know. I want to wear it. It's cute, and I just want to like, it's not a headband, it's like to keep your hair out of your face, obviously. So the first step in your makeup routine is going to prime your skin, and priming is really important because it's going to make your makeup last all day, and you can also get a primer specific to what you need. So if you have large pores, they have pore filling primers, they have mattifying primers, they have hydrating, illuminating, redness reducing primers, so get a primer based off of what you need. So my favorite drugstore primer is going to have to be the Maybelline Master Prime, and this one is the Blur and Smooth one. So I just kind of like to be extra in my makeup, and I like to use two different primers. Usually that's, like I said, that's very extra. You don't need to do that. But I like to use a blurring one in the areas where I have my larger pores here and then where I have some texture. And then also I have dry skin here. I think it's like eczema, so just, it looks gross. Just ignore that, but yeah. Where I have like texture, I like to use a blurring primer, and then my skin's pretty normal, so I usually use a hydrating or an illuminating primer on the rest of my skin. My favorite high-end hydrating primer would have to be the Smashbox Photo Finish Primerizer. I think this is really good. It's kind of like a second moisturizer. I don't really feel it on your skin. I don't really feel like it does a whole lot except make my makeup last, but I don't know, I just really like it. It's refreshing on the skin. But overall, my favorite drugstore primer would have to be the Maybelline Master Prime. So this is going to be the one that I'm going to use today in the center of my face. So like I said, I'm just really applying this in my T-zone area here. Smoothing this out. So I'm really bad at this because I'm impatient, but you kind of want to let your primer sit at least for a few minutes just so that way it's not wet still on your skin. You want to let it sink in, really soak in, and then go in with your foundation. So I'm going to sit here for a second and then we can go on with foundation. So for foundation, they're like a spectrum of foundation. So it starts on one end from like the very lightest coverage and goes all the way to full coverage. So I'm going to start over here, which is going to be your BB CC creams, tinted moisturizers, all of that. Those are going to be the lightest coverage foundations most of the time. There's a few exceptions you kind of have to check, but usually like tinted moisturizers, BB creams, those are just going to kind of be your skin but better foundations. They're going to kind of match your face to your neck, but they're not going to really cover anything. They're more for the color of the foundation. So like whenever I use one, you can see all my redness, all my broken blood vessels, you can see all that through it, but they're just a really good everyday foundation. If you have really nice skin, honestly, I think this would be perfect just because, like I said, it's almost your skin but better. You can see freckles through it. Moving on to a medium coverage foundation. It's kind of like your everyday foundation if you want to like kind of look glam. Like I usually wear a medium coverage foundation on a daily basis because you can kind of see my skin through it a little bit, but it kind of covers everything. It matches obviously your face to your neck if you self-tan because your face is usually lighter, but it's still like you can still tell I have makeup on, but it's not like full coverage. Most medium coverage foundations are buildable. If a foundation says it's buildable, it means that once it kind of dries, you can apply another layer and it's not going to look cakey. It's meant to apply a few layers so that way you can kind of build it to full coverage. So moving on to full coverage foundation, I don't really wear full coverage foundations very often, but these are going to be like, wow, you have makeup on, you're not going to see your skin through it. It's like a layer of skin on top of yours. Like you're not going to see anything through it. The issue with these is that that they can look really cakey if you don't do it right. So I kind of tend to stay away from full coverage and kind of go to medium to buildable coverage and kind of build it up in the areas that I want. But full coverage is like night out glam. You don't wear this every day. I mean, you can if you want. I mean, it's makeup. You can do whatever you want. But normally you don't wear this every day. This is, you're going out. You want to, you know what I mean? You have a beat face. You want a full coverage foundation. So I would say, like I said, most popular type of foundation is going to be a medium coverage foundation. Before I actually apply the foundation, I do want to talk about the finishes of foundation first. There's pretty much three main categories. There's going to be dewy, natural, and matte foundations. So dewy foundations are obviously going to be your dewy, glowy, like healthy, fresh looking foundations. If you have oily skin, I would definitely stay away from these. They don't really dry down. Even me, like I have pretty normal skin. Sometimes with dewy foundations, I still will get pretty oily. So I would say dewy foundations are probably more for normal to dry skin tones. Natural foundations are, I think, kind of like for whoever. Like if you have severely dry skin, natural might be a little bit too like dry for you. They just pretty much are like your skin. Like they don't really have that much of a glow, but they're not like super matte like oil control foundation. So they're kind of like right in the middle. And then matte foundations are like the really like on your skin. If you have dry skin, you do not want a matte foundation. Most of them are like, I have a hard time with matte foundations because if you have dry skin, they just kind of like, you can see it on your skin, they kind of crack on your skin. It's just not, they're not flattering. But I know my mom, like she has to have a matte foundation because she's oily. So if you have oily skin, I would definitely say natural and matte foundations are the way to go. So a color corrector is something that you can put on under your foundation and concealer to kind of cancel out any darkness or redness. So like for me, like I have really dark circles under here, and so you can use like a peach color corrector. My favorite one is the Pixie by Petra. This is in the shade Brightening Peach and just looks like this, and you can just kind of like dabble this under your eyes right here. And then put your concealer or foundation over top, and it's going to cancel out the darkness a lot. I'm just going to go ahead and do some color correcting. I'm going to zoom you guys in a little bit now that we're moving on to the actual makeup part. We get nice and close. So for my under eyes, I just like to take this on a little brush and kind of just pat it in. I don't use a whole lot. It's just something to kind of brighten up that area and just get rid of that darkness. If you can see, like that's a big difference, and you really can't even tell I have makeup on. So for foundation, there's not a lot of foundations that match me right now. I really need a self tan. It's kind of coming off. So I think I'm going to use my L'Oreal Infallible Pro Glow. This still might be a little dark, but we can make it work. So you can use a beauty sponge or a brush. So beauty sponges typically sheer out a foundation, but they make it look a lot more natural. So if you have a really sheer foundation like a tinted hydrating like gel cream or like a CC cream, I would definitely recommend using a brush with these because they're already so thin. A beauty blender is really just going to take away any coverage that it does have. But I would say from like medium to full coverage, you can use either or. A brush is definitely going to give you fuller coverage than your beauty sponge, but it can make it look cakey, or sometimes brushes, it depends on the brush and the foundation, can leave streaks on your face as well. So I just like to use a beauty sponge if I am going to use like a medium or higher coverage foundation, just because it really presses it into the skin. It makes it look really natural, and so it's just my favorite way. So that's what we're gonna do, and I put it right on there like that, and then I just kind of put it all over my face, and then I just kind of start bouncing it in. And you want to make sure that your beauty sponge is wet because it has to be wet. Like it doesn't work how it should if it's not wet. I also don't put foundation where I like put concealer under my eyes here because there's really no point, because you're going to put concealer there anyways. So I never put foundation on my eyes. So moving on to concealer, there are a few ways you can go with your concealer depending on the kind of look that you want. So if you want a really bright look, you can go with like a really light concealer. So this one's it's really pretty light. So this is going to give you like a really bright under eye, like a shade like this. Honestly though, I kind of use light concealers every day, but typically the rule of thumb is to go one shade lighter than your foundation color. It just like all depends on your preference, what you want to do. If you want to look more natural, like you really don't have any makeup on, then you probably want to go with something a little bit darker and closer to your foundation color. But if you're going out, or if you want like a really bright under eye, or you want to look really snatched, then you can use a really light concealer to do that. But my favorite drugstore foundation, I would have to say, would be the Maybelline Fit Me Concealer. It's very beat up, it's very used. This is a shade that I would use right now if I wanted wanted something more natural. I also really like the Makeup Revolution Conceal and Define Concealer. This is really good. For high-end, my all-time favorite concealer, I know I need to really honestly get a new high-end concealer because I use this in like every video, but this is my Too Faced Born This Way Naturally Radiant Concealer, and this is in the shade Light. This is like literally the perfect shade for me. I use this every day. I just think it's so pretty. I love the yellow undertones in it. So for the purpose of this video, I'm going to use this today just because it's like my all-time fave ride or die concealer. So with concealer, you want to kind of make a triangle under your eyes like this, and this is just going to kind of help pull your face back. So that's kind of what you want to do with your makeup, is like even when you contour, you always want to like pull everything up and kind of back to your ear. It's supposed to make your face look more lifted. You want to put concealer anywhere that you want to bring out. So typically it's your chin, unless you have a big chin or you hate your chin and you don't want to accentuate it, then don't put concealer here. But usually you want to kind of bring out your chin to kind of make your face look slimmer, pull it out. Your Cupid's bow, and I usually kind of just take this around my nose just because like hormones and stuff, you know, you just kind of have like redness around your nose here typically, so I just like to conceal that. I also usually do a little bit down my nose. I don't love doing my nose that much, so I just do a little bit. And then your forehead as well. I love this little sponge here. I love beauty sponges, obviously, if you can't tell, but this is the L'Oreal little beauty sponge, and this one is meant for the eyes. It's just a perfect shape to get in all the little areas. And then you'll see what I do is I usually go in with a little brush to kind of like focus on like the smaller areas that I can't really get with this, but I just start blending it out. You usually want to blend out your concealer pretty quickly after you apply it. Alright, so now that our concealer's on, you can see our eyes look nice and bright. Everything just looks kind of lifted. We look a lot healthier with the glow. You definitely want to go ahead and quickly set this down because as you can see, my eyelids crease really bad because I have hooded eyes. My skin just creases really bad, so I have to always set my concealer down really quickly, otherwise it'll be a mess. So moving on to powders, you definitely want to set everything down, especially your concealer. Some people don't set their foundation down. I don't know how they do it. I personally need to set everything down because if your foundation feels sticky on your face, your bronzer and everything will go on very choppy and not very like airbrushed or very smooth. So you want to set everything down, make sure it's not really tacky or sticky. So my favorite drugstore powder is definitely the Rimmel London Stay Matte Loose Face Powder. This is amazing. This is like $4. It's very finely milled, which means it's very light and airy. It has a very light and airy texture. It's not very heavy, so it's just really nice for under the eyes. And then my favorite high-end powder is definitely the Laura Mercier Translucent Face Powder. I'm pretty much out of this. I literally used it up. It's almost empty. This is such a good powder. It has a little bit of a yellow undertone. I mean, like any skin tone honestly can use this unless you're really, really dark. It may look a little bit ashy on you, but it just has a little subtle yellow undertone, so that way it doesn't leave a really white cast on your face. My face today, I'm going to use the Rimmel one, but before we go in and set it, you always want to make sure you go back and blend out these creases, because if you set the creases, they're going to stay like that. So we do not want these creases. Actually, I'm going to use this. We do not want these creases on our eyes, so we are going to blend them back out. Get rid of them. For my eyes and everywhere we put the concealer, I'm actually going to use my beauty sponge to set. I think it's the most natural way to set your face and it looks so good. So I literally just take my damp sponge and the powder and just press it in. Honestly, the beauty sponge just presses any product that you put into your skin, so it's going to make it look the most natural and you're not going to see the makeup really like sitting on top of your face. So this is really good for under the eyes, because under the eyes, if you put too much powder, they can look very crepey and it can almost age your eyes. So by pushing it kind of into your skin rather than letting it sit on top, it really helps make your eyes look younger and not get that like kind of crepey or cakey look. For the rest of my face, I'm going to take a big fluffy brush. So you definitely want to use a big fluffy brush, because the denser the brush that you use, the more product that you're going to put on your face. So if I would use something like a foundation brush like this with powder, it's going to take a lot of powder in that area. You want to use something very fluffy that's just going to kind of disperse it and do a light layer. So you want to use a really like fluffy and a really fluffy brush that isn't very dense. So I just like to put it into the cap. I'm just going to kind of swirl my brush in and set everywhere that we didn't already set. And if you did put foundation on your neck, which I did because my foundation was too dark, definitely make sure to set your neck because we do not want it getting on our clothes. It's never a good look. Next, we're gonna go in with bronzer. So bronzer is a really essential step in your makeup routine. It's going to bring all the warmth back to your face. Right now we have a very flat base and we need some dimension, some warmth, some color back. So that's when we bronze. And honestly, I don't ever really contour anymore. I feel like contouring is very out unless you're going to like I don't know, unless you're doing like a full face of makeup and you really want to contour. I feel like contouring is kind of out and bronzing is pretty much like the new contouring. Like no one ever really, I feel like contours anymore, or they'll use their bronzer to contour. So the difference between contouring and bronzing, contouring is using a cool tone powder and putting it just kind of like right here. Like if you suck in right here to make it look like you have cheekbones or make your cheekbones look a lot deeper. The issue with contouring is that it can look what's called very muddy, and it can just look dirty, like you have dirt literally on your face, because it doesn't look very warm or like look sun-kissed. It's very cool tones, so it can get really bad really fast, and kind of like once you apply it, there's no going back. So really, I just like to bronze. I kind of stay away from contouring. So my favorite bronzer from the drugstore is definitely the Milani the Milani Silky Matte Bronzer in the shade Suntan. This is such a beautiful color. It's really nice on the skin. When it comes to high-end bronzers, I really love these two, and I would say it's probably equal. I use them for different occasions. So this is the, dropped it here. This is a Hoola bronzer by Benefit, and this is a matte bronzer, so it doesn't have any sheen to it, and it is such a pretty color on the skin. It's just the perfect shade. It works for so many skin tones. It's such a good bronzer. And then we have the Too Faced Sweethearts bronzer in the shade Sweet Tea, and this does have a sheen to it. It does not have any glitter. Stay away from any makeup products that have glitter, by the way, unless you want like glittery eyeshadow, just because they look really cheap and chunky, and they're usually they're cheaply made, and they're not very nice on the skin. But this has a really nice sheen to it, so if I use a matte foundation, typically I'll use this just so that way my whole face isn't matte. For today, because my skin has some glow, I use a glowy foundation. I'm going to use the Hoola one. You want to go from pretty much your hairline all the way. You don't want to go past your pupil, so that's bringing it in too far. So like for me, I just kind of bring it into like here. Like you'll kind of see. You just kind of want to find it on your face. I just kind of take it like this. Buff it up. I definitely like start lower and work up rather than starting higher and work down, just because you kind of want to, like I said, bring everything up and back. Also, I always make sure to get my hairline just so we don't have any pale ears in there. And then I also bring it in like a 3 shape on my face. So I'll bring it on my forehead, all the way down my temple, all the way in, and then all the way back around and on my jawline. So that's kind of like where you're supposed to put your bronzer. It's just the most flattering areas. So I just kind of like work it on my forehead very lightly, bring it on my temples, and then I'll also apply it on my bronzer, on my jawline here. And then if I do apply it on my jawline, sometimes I just kind of bring it down a little bit, so that way it's not very harsh. So moving on to blush, my favorite drugstore blush is the Milani Baked Blush in the shade Luminoso. I tend to lean towards coral blushes. I just think they're the most flattering on any skin tone. I absolutely love them. This one is so pretty. It has a nice sheen in it. Once again, it doesn't have any glitter or sparkles, but it just has a really pretty sheen. It looks really pretty on the skin. And then we also have the Tarte blush in the shade Party. This is really good. I think Tarte's Amazonian Clay blush in general, blushes, they're all really, really nice. This one's a little bit more pink, but this one's really pretty as well. So I think I'm going to go with the Tarte one today. I really recommend using a stippling brush. So a stippling brush, or these brushes right here. The stippling brushes usually thin out any makeup that you're putting on. So if you would apply a bronzer with a stippling brush, you're not going to get as much color payoff nearly as if you were going to go in with more of a denser brush. So I really like stippling brushes for blush because it disperses the color really nicely without it looking very clownish. So this is kind of the trick I use, so that way I don't look like a clown, because if you would use a dense brush like this for blush, it would just, it's very easy to mess up. So I feel like this is almost like foolproof. So I would definitely recommend getting a stippling brush like this. Once again, blush is just something where you have to kind of play with it on your face. For me personally, I don't like applying blush really on the apples of my cheeks. I think it looks really cute on other people, but I just feel like it makes my cheeks look bigger because I do kind of have big cheeks. So I like to apply it kind of right on top of my bronzer right here, and then a little bit on my cheeks. So I've honestly just played around. I've applied it on my cheeks, I've not, and I've just kind of found that this is the area that I like to apply it the best. So kind of just like this. I don't smile or anything, like I said, because I don't want to put it on the apples of my cheeks, but I mean, I guess I kind of do, but I just don't put it on there like directly. Before we move on to highlight, I'm just going to show you guys a little trick if you guys do mess up on your bronzer, because I know I'm guilty of it. You can take your beauty sponge. Once again, beauty sponges, I just think that they're so good. They're so universal. So I can take one like this, one with a flat edge, and you can just dip it in your powder just like we did for the under eye. You can clean up your bronzer. So you want to keep this in a straight line, but I don't do this. Ooh, that was not a straight line, but I'm gonna kind of bring it down. I don't use a whole lot just because like I like to keep my makeup pretty natural. I don't like anything too dramatic. So you can dust this off right away if you want, and it's gonna clean it up a little bit. Or if you want a more dramatic or bright look, you can, hold on, let me stop talking for just a second. You can leave it on for a few minutes, and if you leave it on for a few minutes, ooh, this is what you call baking. What baking is it's pretty much just applying a large amount of powder to one area, leaving it, and then the heat from your skin kind of works with the powder, kind of melts it into your skin. While that's sitting, I'm gonna go ahead and move on to highlight. So a highlight is something that's not for everyone, but that a lot of people like. I like to do it to give my skin a fresh glow without looking over the top. I know some people apply a ton of highlight to their cheeks, but that look is it's just not for me, you know what I mean? My favorite drugstore highlighter, I actually have two favorite ones. So I know you guys have heard me talk about this. This is the Essence Pure Nude Highlighter in the shade Be My Highlight. This is so pretty and it's only a few dollars, and I got mine at Ulta. And then I also like the Wet n Wild highlighting powder in the shade Precious Petal. My favorite high-end highlighter is definitely my Ofra Cosmetics in the shade Rodeo Drive. This is so pretty. This is like a gold highlighter, but this highlighter is like beaming. I'm going to use this if I want a full face of makeup, or if I'm going like very over the top with it, if I want to be very extra, because this is like, there's no really going natural with this highlight. This is like, you put it on and it's like, wow, it's very, very beautiful, very pretty, but definitely not for the everyday look. So I usually stick with these two for more of an everyday look. So for today, I'm actually going to use the Wet n Wild one just because I always use the Essence one in my tutorials. And you kind of want to make a C shape. So you kind of want to take it right around here. I don't really take it as far up here as I used to. Okay, I need my eyebrows done so bad. So I kind of just take it on my cheek here. I don't take it on my cheeks here. Some people do that. I know Jaclyn Hill does it. I just don't think it looks the best. So I think it makes your cheeks look bigger. So I just kind of keep it back here. And just apply a little bit. If you have texture on your cheeks, I would not put highlighter there, just because like, unless you just don't really care, because it's gonna make it stand out like 10 times more. My favorite part to highlight is definitely my nose. You want to be careful with this though. I just kind of take it a little bit on the end. It's kind of a lot. And then I also take it, I don't know, this is just like a personal preference, kind of not all the way down the bridge of my nose, but like right at the top here. I don't know, I just think it looks really fresh and cute. And then you can also take it on your Cupid's bow. And then depending on the look you want to go for, if I have more of a matte foundation, I will take it on my chin and then my forehead as well. That's like extra. I always hit these points every time I highlight, and then like I said, if I have more matte foundation, I'll highlight my chin. Ooh, I'm just throwing everything tonight. So it's already been long enough. It's actually been a little too long. I'm going to go ahead and dust away this powder. Alright guys, so honestly I think that's the end of this video. I'm just going to go ahead and pop on some gloss. I was going to like quickly do my eyes off of camera, but I already have a video, I'll like link it right up here, of like how to do a smoky eye and how to do a halo eye. Like in one video I did a smoky eye on one eye and a halo eye on the other. So I feel like I just would be repeating myself to just quickly show my eyes, so I'm just not even going to do them. And I was going to just put on some mascara, but like it's like 12 o'clock at night and I feel like this look looks fine. It's very fresh without any eye makeup, so I'm just not going to do any because I don't know. This video was to focus on teaching you guys the skin and the basics of makeup. This is such a pretty gloss. I love it. This is the Fenty Beauty lip gloss in the shade Fenty Glow. So good. Makes your lips look so juicy. Alright guys, well this wraps up this video. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. I really hope that it was very educational. I know I'm not the best at explaining things and I'm not a professional, but hopefully it taught you guys something. I don't know. I had a really fun time filming it. It just feels so good to sit down and film a more you know, educational teaching video. I feel like it's good every once in a while. Also, let me know any holiday videos you guys want to see from me down below. I'm in the holiday spirit. I have my little Christmas tree over here. I just put up my Christmas tree in my apartment last night, and I'm ready to film some holiday videos. So definitely let me know any videos that you want to see from me down below. And thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys!